Welcome back to the Fierce and Feral podcast. I'm your host, the Freespirit Barbie, and I have a really fun and exciting guest on with us today, you guys. So I have been kind of exercising and jumping into the world of TikTok, which has been really, really fun. I've been applying a lot of content strategy. I like to try a lot of things for you guys before I teach them to you. And I stumbled across this beautiful little gal. What really pulled me into her is, as you guys know, I'm the Freespirit Barbie, and she had Psychedelic Barbie on her TikTok and her website. And then so many other signs just pulled me straight into her energy. So welcome, Brianna, to the Freespirit Barbie podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
You guys, okay, I can't, it is so hard sometimes with podcasting because you can hear my voice and the energy, but if I can encompass an energy and her TikTok, which you have to go find, it's just these bright, vivid neon colors but it has like a dark energy to it, which is just it's captivating. It's very cosmic. And I just decided I needed to know everything about you and all the things that you do. So tell us a little bit, my followers, a little bit about what it is that you do and what kind of, they'll know what makes you you just by listening. So I'm just going to let you take the rail on that one.
Oh, yay. Well, I'm an artist. I make paintings and I sell them. And it kind of started from there, but it has snowballed into a lot of like astrology, spirituality, and trying to help other creatives address creativity blocks and then get their art out there to more people and actually sell it. Because this was a problem for me, as I was really creatively gifted, but I was just terrified of being seen. I didn't know anything about money. Totally. I didn't know anything about sales. And so I had to teach myself. And so then that became the passion. It was born out of painting.
Yeah, I think with any entrepreneurs, we've even talked about this before the call, and I've talked about it on the podcast. Like, you have to just figure out everything that doesn't work. But your ego will keep you so freaking blocked from doing anything. And social media is terrifying. And would you say you build most of your following, does it come through social media or your website? Where do you build a lot of your, clientele basis?
Yes, it is online, but I also do about 50-50 in person. And it's funny because I actually first started selling at local vending events when I was 17. So like,
you're like my favorite people then, because we go to local vending events all the time just to meet the people.
Oh yeah, that was like the crash course in selling because I didn't get any separation. So with social media, it's very scary. It's so easy to hide. But how I started selling was actually like, go stand outside and talk to people that are in front of you.
It's all about relationship building, and learning how to build relationships in person is a totally different atmosphere than doing it online, which can be overwhelming and for a lot of people. But it's like, if you're in any business, you are in the business of rejection, and you have to be okay with people rejecting the fuck out of you, because not every energy is meant for you. Every time I hear rejection, I think of, thank goodness, that was a redirection of energy that was not going to serve me.
Wow, that was so smart. I knew that, but I needed to hear that.
Yeah, sometimes like you just weren't ready to hear it until you hear it just right. But I have all these little mantras right like that, because have you heard the goldfish and the goldfish and dog food analogy for rejection?
I don't recall right now. What is it?
Okay, so I love these. I have a lot of stupid, crazy analogies for things, because that's how my brain conceptualizes things and explains it better. So one of my little teaching methods. But if you give a piece of dog food to a goldfish and the goldfish doesn't eat it, it doesn't make the dog food any less valuable at being dog food, and it doesn't make the goldfish any less of a goldfish because it won't eat dog food. It's just two things that were meant for each other.
Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. I love that. And I love the analogies and metaphors. That's how I communicate too. Yeah, that's a really good thing about value.
Yeah. And I've always been, so I've worked with graphic designers. I've worked with, people who own horse sporting facilities, all different types of businesses, but artists, true artists, I've always admired in my life, because my sister's really gifted and talented, but the learning how to get it to people was the difficult part, where I was obviously high Gemini vibes, very communicative. I'll go out, I'll talk, I'll do all the things. But it's always a fear of being seen. And I feel like art is such a raw expression of like your like full-blown talent, that any critique, like it's hard not to identify with that project, or it's hard not to be hurt. I feel like it's very vulnerable in exposure when you're an artist. And I've always just admired the bravery that comes with being an artist and putting your shit out there.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's art and medium is different, but I've always admired people like, I mean, like you and my wife and like my sister, anyone who can make beautiful shit. My sister-in-law is one of those people that just tries anything and she's really great at it. I seem to surround myself with people who are just you just have to try. I heard something on TikTok the other day that said, what if I told you that being an artist, the only thing that makes you an artist is just the willingness to create? Any of the skills are just learned.
Yes, I agree with that so much. Man, I feel like with art too, because of the way we're taught to learn, we take it way too seriously. That's the thing, is like we're afraid for being found out for doing something wrong. And I think it ties back to a lot of conditioning we have, the way learning or creativity should look. And you realize a lot of good art, you can't try and control it. Even the really weird, messy stuff, and even with social media, you'll look at a piece of art and be like, at least on paper, in my opinion, this is no good. And then it'll go viral for no apparent reason. So with artists, it's super hard to put like a barometer on it, that because art's just hard to describe. It's hard to contain. It's so emotionally intense and affects everyone so differently.
Yeah, that's why I think it can be difficult, especially, I mean, for artists, unless you have a very specific vibe. It can be really hard to write like copy or sales copy, or even like if to put like stuff online, when you have to embody the feeling of an art piece in just something as simple as 3D words. Like it's
oh yeah.
So with art, I feel like growing online, and this is something you could totally, I mean, tell me I'm full of shit, but I feel like growing art online would be something where you have to build the energy and attract the energy of the people who consume your art by building that community and showing up. And I mean, you are what you attract, right? You don't manifest the things you want, you manifest the things you are. So as long as you embody yourself with full acceptance, you'll surround yourself with people who also want to purchase that beautiful shit. Because it can be hard just to go out and just peddle art. But then again, in person, like when people are like, you should buy this beautiful thing, and I'm like, you're totally right, this thing is beautiful, like how could I not? Like,
oh man, I so agree. That's like my favorite soapbox to get on. I love to preach that one right there about, oh man, just the showing up and having to like promote yourself and figure out a way to get your art to more people. And it can be so difficult, but finding the confidence to put yourself out there and be intentional about it so you attract the right kinds of people. Because I mean, I started my business, I started selling my art 6 years ago, and it took me probably like 5 years to get a hold on that one problem. Like that was a long problem for me, and that I was just attracting the wrong people. And a lot of it had to do with insecurity issues with my art or the way I was putting myself out there. And so I was attracting this mirror in the clients, and I couldn't figure out why this kept happening.
what do you think helped you get past that insecurity about your art and getting it out there?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it was slow exposure. Like that's the thing too, is like you have to take one step in front of the other, and it's like kind of in the dark, and you have to accept that you're going to find yourself there, but you have to do it one thing at a time. And it's through being in that energy, you'll move a little bit further and further and further into it. But like the number one thing I had to learn is to pace myself and to be way, way more patient. Because a lot of the times my expectations were entirely too high, and I was being mean to myself because I was expecting myself to do something that was just completely unrealistic. And so it wasn't even a problem with me. It was just a perception.
Oh, always perception issue, self-awareness. I feel like once you became more self-aware that it was an insecurity that was being mirrored back to you and it wasn't actually your fault, Like it's not people hating your stuff, it's you hating yourself. And you this is just the mere self-awareness of like, you're like, oh my gosh, it's just a mirror and I just need to do the hard thing anyways. It's major upheaval for you. Like that's where like limiting beliefs will get us stuck for, like you said, like a 5-year issue trying to get past a problem. I like to think of like our life a little bit like a video game, or for you to get to the next level of abundance, you need to solve all of the problems at the current level you are at now. You cannot get to the next level until you're there. And the universe will not bring you, universe, source, God, whatever you call it here, we're all open, will not bring you that next level of abundance until you solve those problems. Because let's say you have issues or a wound with rejection right now. So you get one bad comment and it takes 15 positive comments to like, or a lot of self-care for you to be able to bounce back from something like that. If that happens with 100 followers and one comment, what are you going to do with 500,000 followers and 50 shitty comments a day? You're not going to be able to handle that level of abundance. So yeah, that's such a beautiful story. I love that you're like, yeah, this fucking sucked and don't do this. Like, don't be in your own way.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that whole thing about I resonated so much with what you said. You're like speaking my story.
Yeah, welcome to the Freespirit Barbie experience. And most of the time, 99% of the people I talk to end up crying by the end of it. It's so funny. It's a joke, but like we do retreats and stuff like that, and like we'll have like meditations, or I'll open my eyes, everyone's just kind of crying, and they make jokes that they're like, Kat's just like an emotional dominatrix. She'll just pull all of the bullshit right out of you, even if you don't want it to happen. But that's why I feel like if you're going to be in business, you are on a self-development journey. Your business will be capped at the potential that you decided to become complacent at. So you have to go through consistent self-awareness and self-growth and all this beautiful fun things, because you're gonna get stuck, right? Your business will also then get stuck, which is pretty impressive when you see idiots growing massive businesses. And I'm like, but it turns out business is not difficult. Business is simple. It's not easy, but it's so freaking simple. And a lot of the times our ego are keeping us like so blocked that we're even afraid to even just go full time. So that was like another question I had to ask you is, when did you say, fuck it, I'm going full time as an artist and I'm not doing the job thing? I know you've been doing it for a hot minute, but was it like a side thing that you started off with? Or, I mean, a hobby gone into a passion that is now just beautiful chaos?
Oh man. So I love this question because for me, I was actually raised by 2 entrepreneur parents. I was homeschooled my entire life. So I didn't operate within any like predefined framework. It was never even an assumption that I would work in a normal job. That wasn't a decision I made. That was just like the reality that I lived in.
You grew up in a completely different planet than I grew up in. It's so crazy.
Oh yeah. Yes. So I started out, I got like a job at Michael's, like at a craft store, maybe a month after my date of when I started my business, kind of. That's like my assumed date, but I've done it for so long, and I've had random little side businesses since I was like literally 11 years old. I used to sell jewelry to the neighbor kids to the point where their parents hated me because I was stealing all their money. So I was that kid.
Yeah, I'm entrepreneur from like, it's like our brains are wired different. That's why I love working with business owners. It's so fun.
So I started working at Michael's, and from there I kind of got in with the art community in Austin, and I got invited to go to art shows. And so then I started selling locally and then also selling online. And so it just kind of grew and grew from there. But my goal had always been to, be a full-time artist and make a whole business out of it. And I think like the point where my inspiration really came from was actually really, really early on, like maybe 12, 13 years old. Because of like YouTube and watching other artists, especially like beauty gurus, because I'm like really Gen Z. I was born in 99. So whenever I was like 13, that was 2012, whenever the YouTube was getting really, really big. So I was just watching beauty gurus with parents with a lot of money and like envying them and being like, I just want to do your thing.
Right? Totally. Totally. Yeah, that's where I think my podcast and like I did the same thing. I mean, I'm a little bit older, millennial. But I always loved that. I mean, YouTube is still my go-to for everything. And that was kind of one of the expansions, kind of revenue streams that we're looking at with building with the Freespirit Barbie and the brand as we kind of up level is I am, and we're just going to talk about this in the podcast because I just don't care anymore. For anyone who knows me really, really well, I am big into medical cannabis, and I smoke it like consistently for as like a medication source for so many things, but I smoke it with intent, and I have little creativity rituals, and I do things in it. And I created meditations because I mean, I'm a meditation teacher, so I create like custom meditations for my clients. And I want to create an entire YouTube channel called Connecting to Your Higher Self, which is plant-based like cannabis meditations. And I feel like me as a teenager or as a young adult learning about this, I was like, that would be the coolest thing to watch in the world. But it's just another tool for you to connect, to use, to grow a relationship with your really cool following, because your followers are really cool. I love interacting even with them on your videos or just watching their comments. I think the first video I came across of when I actually found you was about price anchoring. And if you have if you have a $50 piece of art and it doesn't sell, to increase the price, and then it's associated with luxury and all that stuff. And you had your whole little spiel afterwards that once you found the value in yourself and your art, then it reflected in your customers. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's price anchoring, like the psychology behind, sales and all this stuff. And I was like, I love this. She gets it. I love that. And that's how I found you. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Firstly, that channel idea, I'm already obsessed with it.
Right?
I would binge watch that.
I've been on a hunt to find a water pipe or a bong to do for the channel that we'll put stickers on. It'll be custom just for the channel, like a whole thing.
Oh, that's so cool. And I didn't even know that was called price anchoring. So this is the weird thing, is I'll just tap into things and I don't know. I'm very intuitive with my communication.
The Pisces sun, for sure.
Such
a Pisces sun thing.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, what were you gonna say? We got distracted there for a second.
Oh man, I don't even remember now, to be honest.
We talked about the podcast, and then we talked about the YouTube channel, and then there was one other spot. But it'll come back to us when we see that. #ADHD brain. All right. I love this. What is the biggest lesson you've learned with being either an artist or a business owner? And I'm sure there are so many, because we've already discussed your own limiting belief and the fear of rejection holding you back. But what's another lesson that you've learned?
Oh my gosh, not to cut corners and worry about getting anywhere particularly quickly. Because here's the dilemma that I found out. Because of when I started my business, I was 17, which was great for many reasons, because I was young and naive, and so I could just bulldoze my way through problems that would really scare a lot of other people, and they would just recoil back. But the problem that I did despite that is I did things with absolutely no foundation. I would start things, quit them. I basically had no intrinsic stability or structure to my business. So it was just a passionate, fiery, emotional expression that somehow attracted people and worked. But
that's exactly how business started for me. 100%.
So volatile. It was so volatile. So at this point, I've gotten into this area where I'm like, okay, I got to go back and deal with these structural issues, and also deal with my fears about taking my time, or why I feel like I have to be rushed. Why do you feel compelled that everything has to take 15 seconds? What does that stem from? That's not healthy.
Totally. I have, and after working with business owners for as long as I've learned that entrepreneurs think that we underestimate what we can get done in a year, and we overestimate what we can get done in a day. And we're consistently, our ego mind is setting ourselves up to fail But at the same time, I'm sure, and I don't know if you encounter this, but a lot of my clients do, is you give yourself a goal. And even if you hit that goal, you don't feel successful because that was the bare minimum. So you're just moving on to the next thing. You never allow yourself to feel success. You never allow yourself to feel true joy and passion, which makes it really difficult to strive for a goal of success, because things like success and happiness is never the goal, it's the way. And if you, it's like a self-sabotaging cycle that we get caught up in. And it makes it so difficult just to get anywhere with, oh my gosh, the internet, unstable. No. All right. Are we good? Are you still there? I'm just going to have to go back and just edit out all the time. But it just
being Mercury retrograde. And we're both
Mercury in retrograde. That's what we get. That's what we get for doing a podcast episode during Mercury.
Oh, yeah. Mercury retrograde, and you're a Gemini and I'm a Virgo rising. So we're really having a great time here with the Mercury.
Yeah, we didn't. This is one of the do's and the don'ts of business and your astrology. Don't record podcast episodes during Mercury retrograde. I've learned with my lunar cycle. I help my clients do energy audits, and we sync up we start to observe your creativity and your energy and your communication cycles with the moon cycle. So some of my clients have like a 3-week energy cycle. Some of them have like 6-week energy cycles where you kind of go for your creative high and then your low. And I've learned you don't set your business up where for example, like I have really low lows that are about like 5 or 6 days where I just don't really want to talk to people. I only want to talk to people close to me. Like I'm an internal liver. I'm living very internal. This is where I write a lot of my stuff. You don't set your launches up or sales calls for big programs or retreats up when you are, just when it's convenient for you, not with your energy cycle. Because I remember hating doing like sales calls and all of these things for these massive programs and trying to hit, a $50,000 month. And I'm just like, why did I do it during these days? I just don't want to do anything. So I have learned to set that up in that way. And I'm really excited. I was gonna, if you don't know what your energy cycle kind of looks like, let me know in a few weeks, because I would love to know more, because I love seeing your lines come out, your collections. And so I've been watching your Valentine's Day collection as you've been making that. And like, you'll pop on live and I'll just come on and like, be like, I wonder where she's at now. Like painting on live. Which is
really man, cool. That's so cool.
Oh, can you tell our followers about your challenge that you're doing with create like artists online? It's so cool. Yes. It's so cool.
Yes. So I'm doing a 12-day challenge called the Artistic Mystic Creative Challenge. It's like a content challenge. So it gives you a ton of different prompts that you can use over 12 days to come with ideas of how to share and promote yourself. And it's actually separated into 3 like segments of content types, because I feel like we don't talk about the different types of content you can make and what they can do and how you can use them. So it's just like a giant creative brainstorm. And so I did it as like a free download. The download even has like a habit tracker and a monthly planner and a tarot spread specifically for artists. So it's like this spiritual, mystical companion to like the regimented, like logical side. It's the perfect Pisces Virgo rising.
That really is. It's beautiful. Like, that's so cool. I've loved watching you go through it too, because learning more about you grows that connection with your audience. And so I feel like every artist, every business owner out there, if you're really wanting to engage more, which if you want more sales and more revenue and more money and the masculine or CEO side of business, and step more into the feminine, which is the personal brand, the connection, the money exchange, like you have to be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and connect. And the more you get out there, the more you're seen, the more they have a chance to connect with you, which means the faster they'll get to a point where they feel comfortable enough with buying your beautiful shit.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing about it too that I learned the hard way. Another hard lesson was that if that feminine side of you that's creating all this beautiful content or downloading all this information, or like is this magnetic attracting all these things to you, feels unsafe, it'll slice down the level of attraction that you're getting. And a lot of that unsafety has to do with not having systems that support. So if you just fundamentally feel unsupported, or you don't have any like paradigm, you don't have a structure holding that feminine, then your feminine won't be able to express and attract as much as it's capable. So a lot of times we feel like we're not like magnetic or we're not creative enough, when really we're just unsupported.
No, that's totally right. Because and I have like a whole module with my one-on-one girls where it's like, or it's a theory, I guess, that I teach, but it's that masculine and feminine side of business, the CEO and the personal brand. And you have to heal the relationship between the two. Because that's of exactly why you just said. You have the masculine's job is to create safety for the feminine to express and feel. And when that relationship is crap, you're going to get the really greedy business owners where they scale their businesses to a point where then integrity breaks. And that is where I've had to walk away from even business relationships where I'm like, I just can't. Not the business I'm trying to run. Or you get the people who are caught up in the creating. And a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with who are, spiritually awakened, artistically inclined, really looking to tap into the creativity and use it as a tool for their business versus just a hobby at home. Like when they go to try to be seen or try to be heard, they find themselves building 8 million bridges and then only getting halfway on one project, 3/4 of the way on this one. And then you've got 10 different bridges you're building. You're exhausted. You don't feel like you've gotten anywhere because you've never finished one. So you've worked so incredibly hard on a million different projects and you have nothing to show for it. And it makes you want to quit. And that is where, most of my clients usually lie. They're like, Kat, I've been working on all these great ideas, all these things, and I can't get anywhere. How do I put the energy out, but how do I track that back in? And between one, staying focused, and two, healing your wounded feminine. It allows you to put yourself out there and find the masculine. When it comes to your systems online, how long do you think it took you to build the proper systems in the masculine side of business before you or how long did you kind of run your business before you created the back office systems? We froze.
I'm just starting to make them now. So I'm going on like 6 years in my business, and it didn't dawn on me until last summer.
Oh. I don't blame you.
And it was
it's a normal thing. I feel like, especially when you're a small artist, nobody teaches you these things.
No, it's so funny too, because what happened was I was selling predominantly through Instagram. And so I kind of had created this teeny little world that wasn't growing. I was completely stagnant and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't grow the following. I couldn't grow the money. I couldn't grow anything. And then I was like, I hate this. Let me switch to TikTok. So I started posting on TikTok. And I made a massive shift to sharing my face and making like my opinions and trying to help people more of a forefront over the selling. And within like 3 months, I like started gaining following really, really quickly, faster than I ever had before. Like I had my first piece of content go viral, that one that you mentioned, the one that you saw. And then what happened was the shift was so severe and so quick. I had none of the support to hold it, and it overwhelmed me. And it like, you would think growing a following very quickly would be really awesome, and it was, but in other ways it completely destabilized me, and it showed me all the cracks in the foundation.
Totally.
And so then over the last 6 months, I've been going back over and being like, okay, so I grew, now I have to learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, well, there's a reason for everything. I've learned that the more things don't make sense or the more chaos it is, the more you have to trust in the divine timing of it all. You have to, when you start freaking out, there's a little exercise I like to do where you write everything you're freaking out about down, you cross off everything you can't control, and you deal with everything that you can.
I love that.
Period. And then stop bitching about it. Or you're allowed to bitch about it because at least you've done everything you can. But a lot of the times I find people are stuck and still because they don't have the systems to support them in place, and they refuse to make a decision about it. Like, you have to make a decision at some point to full send and do what you feel called and pulled to. And I don't know how to explain to salesmen, like marketing people, that my lead generation strategy is my intuition. Like, I can't bottle that up and teach bro marketing people that. I can teach the spiritually awakened community that I work with one-on-one how to use their intuition for their business. But you have to learn how to listen to yourself. And that's why when you're like, I'm just so sometimes I didn't even know that was a thing, but I'm just in tuned. It's about tuning to the frequency to give you the opportunity to hear those answers, to figure out what will work. When I hear a lot of people say, I have no time, I've just got a billion things to do, I'm working 70 hours a week, I have no time, then you need to slow down. To speed up your business, you need to slow down, analyze, and listen, smell the roses, meditate.
Oh my gosh.
Take a chill
Yes. That's so true. That's my favorite, least favorite tarot card is the Four of Pentacles. Every time it shows up, I just get better. I'm like, I know. Can we? But it's like the imagery is she's holding these pentacles in her hands and on her feet, and she can't move forward. Girlfriend can't even fathom what 10 pentacles looks like because she's so obsessed with her 4.
Yeah.
And she's like, can you just put one down? You're gonna have to put one down if you want to move forward. You can't even get up.
Taking on too much shit. You're like, girl. Sounds like that's a common self-sabotaging behavior that tends to pop up. That's the self-awareness, though. That's what I appreciate about you, is the self-awareness for me. I call all my clients out on it too. I have to warn everybody, if you're going, again, like I said before, I think I started this rant and never finished it, classic. If you are going to go on a business ownership journey, an entrepreneurial journey, or a spiritual journey, you have to be ready to face the hard things. Or your business will be capped at your potential, at the business potential, at your income potential. You can only call in and work with a certain amount of money that you have a energy cap at. And subconsciously, we put energy caps at depending on what our experience with money has been on the past and what our beliefs are. So if you can't do the shadow work, if you can't ask yourself the hard questions, if you can't work on your own healing, you are not going to be able to get to the next level, which is going to mean you're going to be stuck in just misery, spinning your wheels. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on calls with people who are like, how do I just make more money or manifest without having to do the self-care or the hard work? And I'm like, I'm not the right coach for you. Love that though. Have fun. Let me know. I was like, she's not ready yet. She needs to cook a little longer out in the wilderness. She'll come back to me. And if she's listening, hi, miss you, love you, call me. She knows exactly who she is. I call things like I see them. I defend your dreams, not your excuses. That's what it was. Yeah.
And I love that. I love that so much because I see so many people, so many coaches, just so many people talking about businesses in general. They're leaving out the component of financial trauma. Like, this is another one of my soapboxes where I get a little bit frustrated, is because the main reason why I was stuck for 5 years was because of financial, subconscious programming that I was pulling out. That's what was happening. And I was sitting there being like, nothing's happening. Why is nothing working? Because there was so much basically coaches and people out there who were like, just believe and don't deal with any of the underlying belief systems or the systems, or why are you having these habits in these ways that are continuing to perpetrate this belief. Mm-hmm. And then when I really started to be like, why is this happening? Has this been a reoccurring theme in my life? When did this first take place? When did I start to believe this about myself? Does this run in my family? Is this an ancestral generational thing?
Totally.
And then it was like, wait, this is way bigger. This is way more than I had thought.
You're like, oh shit, there's a big problem here. Like it just everything. You're like, oh my God, I have to fix it all. And the cool thing about it is it's just one by one. And you have to have patience and forgiveness with yourself. Forgiveness is the biggest tool as a CEO that you can have and utilize is forgiveness and gratitude. Those are your two biggest toolboxes. But perfect. Well, I love this. We're going to have to do a whole nother episode just on astrology alone. I think would be dope. Where can everybody find you?
Yes, this sounds wonderful. I am on TikTok, Brianna Auguste Art, and on Instagram too. That's mainly where I post.
Perfect. And I will put everything too in the link in bio for whoever's listening. I'll get it up on the website as well once we have it live. But again, you guys, freespiritbarbie.com, you can find me or Kirsten on there. We have a lot of beautiful stuff that's recently launched. If you haven't checked out our dope ass coloring books, they're so cool, adult coloring books that Kirsten made, and they're available on Amazon right now too. Anyone who leaves a review for the podcast or screenshot and tag either one of us in it, you guys, you can put into a drawing for one of a freebie. You can have a free card reading, which people really love, or a coloring book, anything like that. I just want sharing is caring, and the more people we can touch and really get our light out to, the better. Because that's what this is all about, is just sharing the free knowledge that we all have access to. It's just knowing what knowledge to freaking listen to. And if this resonated with you, please reach out to us, because we love to we love to see the people that are connecting with us. So again, thank you, Brianna, for coming. We'll definitely have to do another one again. And remember, drink some water, protect your energy, and go do something fun for yourself today.